Hello there everybody and welcome back to Movie Squirm. Today I'm going to be doing my top 10 horror films of the 1980s. Now there are plenty of great decades for horror. The 70s was fantastic. I'll probably do a video on that at some point. The 90s, again, great. And even more modern horror, I really like, to be honest. But here I'm just going to stick to the 80s because for me it is probably the pinnacle of horror movies now, isn't it? I think this is a lot of people's favorite decade for horror in general. It was just so much fun, and this was very hard to narrow down to just a top 10. So I'm going to do some honorable mentions in here as well. Now, just a little bit of a heads up here, guys. I am only sticking to one movie per franchise. Also, this is more of a personal catered list. So I know some of the movies in the honorable mentions are probably overall better than the ones that made my top 10. But this is just a personal top 10 that, these are movies I rewatch all the time, ones that I've loved since childhood as well, that can play a factor in some of these movies. It's just a personal favorite list, and no one's list should match anyway, should it? So let's just get into it now with these honorable mentions. First up, we do have The Evil Dead 2, a film I have really grown to love more in later life. I wasn't too fussed on it at first, but yeah, the more I watch it, the better it gets. Day of the Dead, another great sequel in the Romero Dead trilogy. Christine, which really nearly made this list. It's a fantastic movie. John Carpenter does wonders with that film, with such a simple concept. The Burning, a fantastic summer camp slasher. My favorite video, Nasty. My Bloody Valentine, a movie that I kind of got to later in life, but I really appreciated. Some great kills in there. Definitely be watching the uncut version if you do get to it. The Fly, Cronenberg's body horror masterpiece. Have to give a mention to that. And this one might surprise a few people, but The Thing. Yes, it's a movie that I need to rewatch. I haven't seen it for quite a few years, and I intend on fully rewatching this at some point. But it's always just been an 8 out of 10 movie to me. I have seen it 5 or 6 times in life, but it is definitely due a rewatch. So let's just get into it now. Number 10. Number 10 is going to be Friday the 13th, Part 3. Yeah, look, this is a very tight call between this and Part 6. I am in the middle of a rewatch of this series now. I've just reviewed Part 5 on the channel, so I'll leave my Friday the 13th review playlist down below. And I do have Jason Lives coming up next. I have seen it quite a few times, and it might change on rewatch. But for now, I'm going to put Friday the 13th Part 3 in here because I hold a lot of nostalgia for this film as well. I own this on VHS, one of the very few Friday the 13th movies I used to rewatch as a kid. It's not really a franchise I really went too much. It was more Freddy and Child's Play. But this and Part 1 are the ones I used to rewatch a lot. And I think you got a great Jason in here with Richard Brooker. Maybe my favorite portrayal of all the Jasons. I think he's just got the great body type. I love the costume design. It's quite simple. But this is where he gets his famous hockey mask. And the first time we see it in the franchise as well, believe it or not. But I just love some of the kills in this movie. The one where he shoots that arrow right across the lake and impales that, I forgot the woman's name, is it Violet's eye, and just walks away like it's an everyday piece of work for him. I mean, that is genius, that scene to me. But what I really love about this movie as well, that I don't really think we have a great abundance of in this franchise, is the final girl of Chrissy. Now, I think she is probably the best final girl in this entire film series, because I think there's more of a story to her. There's a purpose to her. She has been haunted by Jason in the past because she used to come to this Higgins Haven as a kid, and this man tormented her in the woods once. And unbeknownst to her, she is going to get her revenge and overcome her demons by taking on Jason in the third act. And I think that's a wonderful little written story to have here for such a simple movie that only requires kills for most people. But I'm one of them who loves a bit of story in my movies, and I'm so glad that they do something with the final girl here. But yeah, great abundance of characters as well. I think this is some of the most fun characters to be around. Yeah, it's just a great Friday the 13th movie. I know a lot of people don't love it, but yeah, I would love to watch this in 3D one day as well. I've never actually watched it in 3D, but it's so fun to see all the little 3D, little nods that they have here, where they were trying to make broom handles and stuff and yo-yos come out the camera. I find that part of the charm. So yeah, one of the best third acts in the entire franchise as well. Friday the 13th, part 3 is number 10. Next up we have Child's Play. Tom Holland directing what would become a iconic slasher villain here in Chucky, of course. Now, what I love what Tom Holland does here is build up the suspense in this movie. So we see this kid, Andy Barclay, who really wants this doll, and his mother finally gets him one, but she buys it off like this homeless guy. And unbeknownst to her, this murderer called Charles Lee Ray has done some type of voodoo to put himself inside the doll. And when this doll comes home with Andy Barclay, things start to happen. Like, Andy starts swearing and stuff like that. And a babysitter is killed and thrown through the window. And everyone points to Andy Barclay that he's just turned into this mischievous child. But Andy Barclay swears that it's Chucky. And when we get that moment with Catherine Hicks's character, but Andy Barclay's mum, ripping off the back of the battery pack, and there's no batteries in there, and Chucky turns and says, "You stupid bitch," and I just love that scene, man. It's awesome. But yeah, Chucky is one of my favourite horror movie villains, probably alongside Freddy Krueger there as the best. I absolutely love him in this film. He didn't reach his true potential until part 2, but there's some great one-liners still in here, some awesome kill scenes. I really love when he does the voodoo doll sort of thing, stabbing the voodoo doll to kill that John character who taught him the voodoo and stuff. Yeah, just an awesome film. And when the fun is finally unleashed, when we reveal Chucky, it really does pick up again and sort of switch the film around from being a suspenseful film to, you know, a cool little slasher there. So Child's Play, yeah, really, really fun movie. I love it to death. So that is number 9. Next up, we do have a Stephen King adaptation, and that is Pet Sematary. Now, this is a movie that when I watch more as a father now, it hits even harder. And I didn't really realise that as a kid. You know, it was all the other stuff that was more scary to me in this movie. But when you see it as a father now, it totally changes your perspective. And that has elevated this film for me even more. I mean, I've always loved the movie, but I respect it even more now. But you see this family moving to this house, and they are revealed to by the neighbour, played by Fred Gwynne, who is just awesome in this movie. Stay away from that road. I love his character so much. He tells them about this cemetery behind the house where if you bury your pets there, they will come back. But they don't come back with the same personality or stuff. They come back as these vicious little bastards, as we do find out with Church, the cat. But then tragedies start to happen, and the question remains is, could you bring a human back? And that is a terrifying concept as a father. I mean, would you bring your kid back if you had laid them to rest, and you could bring them back through the cemetery, but you know it's not going to be quite the same kid and stuff? It's all these questions that the movie asks you. And when I see the father of this movie dig up his kid, that is the most terrifying scene to me, because I'm like, holy shit, I can't really blame the guy because I don't know what I'd do in that situation. I would miss my kid so much, but also, what the hell are you doing? But we've got great moments in here, you know, with Zelda, who is absolutely terrifying. What a terrifying character she is when we hear of all the flashbacks and stuff like that. You know, I just think it's a really well done story, and one that really makes your skin tingle. I believe Stephen King himself scared himself by writing this story, and I can see why. But yeah, turns into a little bit of a slasher type movie for the last 20-30 minutes there, and it really does ramp up as the movie goes on. It's almost done like a TV type movie. I don't know if this was straight to TV, I can't quite remember. But that works in its favour. It just feels more, you know, subtle there. You know, it doesn't need that big blockbuster budget behind it. It just totally works with the visual style and everything to make it that much more creepy. So Pet Sematary, wonderful movie. Another movie I have reviewed fully on this channel. Leaving the link down below, guys. But yeah, fantastic film. That is Pet Sematary at number 8. Next up, we have a sequel to an iconic franchise, and that is Halloween 2. Yes, I actually think this is the best sequel in the entire series, to be honest. And I think it goes so well as a double bill with my personal favourite one in the franchise, in Halloween. But this one takes place straight after Halloween 1, so that's what makes it flow very well. And we go to a hospital in this movie, which is a really messed up location for horror films. They always feel so creepy. And you got Laurie Strode there, you know, who's been injured from the first film and suffering a bit of trauma. And Michael Myers is gunning down for her. And there's a reveal in this film as to why Michael Myers is after her. And a lot of people do not like that. But I think it actually brings a little bit more sense and enhances the story a little bit. I actually like that little reveal there, to be honest. We got some great kills in here with the, you know, the boiling hot tub and stuff like that. I think Dick Warlock is a great Michael Myers, to be honest. He's a little bit small, but I do like him. I like the way he patrols Haddonfield at the start of this movie, with the cameras just following around, killing these people in the houses and then walking towards the hospital with the iconic score on there. You know, you got Donald Pleasance once again bringing his A game, who's probably my favorite character in the entire Halloween film series, to be honest. It's just a fun movie. It's a great slasher. It's so well paced. There's kills everywhere, left, right, and center. And the hospital location just enhances it. So for me, I love this film. I think it's the best sequel, and it had to be in this list. That is Halloween 2. Next up, from the imagination of Clive Barker, we do have Hellraiser. Now, this is a very clever movie, in my opinion. The poster can kind of throw you off a little bit. You think that you're going into a movie with this Pinhead character, but he doesn't really show up for the last 20 minutes there. He is part of these people called the Cenobites, who come and collect you if you've escaped from hell, or you belong in hell, basically, which is a little bit of a terrifying description of them characters, to be honest, when you think about it. But this all evolves around this guy, Frank, who is basically gunning for torture, and he finds this box, which is meant to be the ultimate pleasure and pain balance there. And when he opens it, he basically is dragged to hell, but he gets out of there and he has to sort of feed on dead bodies to regain his human form again. And he all needs it with the help of his ex-lover, Julia, who has just bought this new house, but Frank is sort of in the cellar there, and he's telling Julia to bring men home to the house so he can feast on them and become human again, and they can have their love back. And she is just smitten with this guy. I don't know why. He's a total asshole. You see the the back stories and what happened in their life when they were lovers, and he's ripping her bra off with a knife and stuff. I think she just loves bad boys. But yeah, it's really like creepy when she brings these guys home and hits them on the head with a hammer, and then Frank just feasts on it. You know, it's a really gnarly story, put it that way. But once we get the Cenobites in there, it makes for a great third act and stuff. It's a really, really clever, well written out film, I think. And yeah, I absolutely love this movie. Great practical effects, great costume design on the Cenobites and stuff. Pinhead is one of the best looking horror villains, isn't he? You just look at him and go, how the hell did they do that? So yeah, Hellraiser, great movie, and very, very violent as well. Just a heads up there. That is Hellraiser. Next up, we have An American Werewolf in London. Quite a scary film, in my opinion, which sees two tourists backpacking across the English moors, and they are attacked by this werewolf. And one of them is killed, the other one is put in hospital, but he is slowly over time turning into this werewolf. Now, this tied for me with 1941's The Wolfman as the best werewolf movie ever, but that one is the 40s, this one's the 80s, that's why it's here. But I can't quite decide between the two, which one I think's best. But we've got an iconic transformation scene in this movie by Rick Baker, who won the Oscar for Best Makeup Effects, I believe. And there is there's no wonder he did. I mean, it's not very often horror is recognized with the Academy Awards, but you can't deny that this is something unbelievable to behold. When you're watching it, you can't quite believe how they've done it. And I don't think it's ever been bettered here in any movie, even all these many years later. What are we, like 45 years later now? And no one has done a better werewolf transformation scene. It's stupendous to look at. Let's say that. You got David here, who is the main character, who's turned into this werewolf, and the hallucinations he's having in this movie and stuff before he becomes this damn thing are terrifying. They used to scare the shit out of me as a kid. You know, those Nazi pigs running into his house and shooting all his family and stuff. It's horrifying. You know, that's why I said it's really one of the scariest movies out there. You know, you got a great subplot with Jenny Aguda's character, you know, a little bit of a romance going on, thrown in there. You know, I just think it's a wonderful werewolf movie. And yeah, like I said, tied for the best with The Wolfman. But that had to be in this list. So that is An American Werewolf in London. Next up, we do have The Hitcher. A lot of people may consider this a thriller movie. Personally, I consider it more horror just because of the horrifying things that we do actually see in this movie. But there's no doubt that it's a very fast-paced, on-the-road thriller as well. I just think John Ryder is absolutely terrifying in this movie. So, yeah, it qualifies for me. Now, this has always been one of my favourite movies of all time. I think Rutger Hauer is amazing. He is one of my most iconic horror movie villains ever, one of my favourites. I absolutely love the guy. I think he is so scary in this movie. And it just sees this, what's his name? C. Thomas Howell's character basically pick up this hitchhiker at the very start of the movie, and it just doesn't slow down. There isn't much build-up. There isn't much tension, although there's tension in certain scenes, but it doesn't take its time to get there. We are just in it from the first scene, and it is relentless throughout. It's so well-paced. You just see this Rutger Hauer, John Ryder, his name is, not leaving this guy alone. He will just absolutely torment him from the start of the movie to the end. And you know something isn't quite right in the first scene. You know, you really just feel sorry for this C. Thomas Howell's character. He just wants to get away from this guy. But, man, he is just relentless. He really is. Now, there's some really fucked up scenes in this movie. One scene, he kills a bunch of... You don't see it. It's only implied. But he's left a little trail of dead bodies in this, like, police station. He ties this woman to a wagon and pulls it in two. And what's so great about that scene is you don't actually see it, but you don't need to. It's kind of like the meat hook on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where it's just stumped on there and it's left to your imagination. That's what the Hitcher does with this scene, and you're just like, you know what's happened without seeing it. And it's such a well-directed moment, but you really want to see Thomas Howell's character to basically just win. You want him to win, because Rutger Hauer is such a horrible asshole in this movie. I love the setting for this film as well. I love movies that take place on the road, but especially when it's all in the outback of America. I just think that's such a cool setting for me personally. But yeah, absolutely love this film. Absolutely flies by. Such a well-paced horror movie. And yeah, for me, it just had to be in this list. I adore it. So that is The Hitcher. Coming in number 3 is going to be The Lost Boys, a movie that has the 80s written all over it now, doesn't it? I mean, this is probably the most 80s movie in this entire list, but what a wonderful fun time this is. Another movie that just absolutely flies by. Joel Schumacher's masterpiece here. This sees two brothers, Sam and Mike, move to Santa Carla, which is the murder capital of the world, and there's basically missing person signs placed everywhere. Murder capital of the world sprayed on things with graffiti and stuff. And you're like, what's going on with this place? And we soon are revealed that David and his gang of goons are these vampires terrorizing this damn place. And that's why there's so many people missing and stuff, because they're just killing people by night, because they are in fact vampires. And they're trying to get Mike to sort of join their little gang there. But what I love about this, it's just got a great soundtrack. The soundtrack is one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard in a film. You got Tim Capello, I Still Believe, Lost in the Shadows, Cry Little Sister. Man, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it right now. And you got great characters in here as well. The Frog Brothers, Sam and Mike themselves are great. David always brings Kiefer Sutherland always brings wonderful performances to his characters. He's just owns the screen and does in this film. And basically, it's just Sam and Michael trying to overcome the vampires. And it's just got so much comedy in there, but the horror is great as well, especially when it is revealed that David and his goons are vampires, and you see the makeup and stuff, and they just take people out at the campfire party. It's quite horrifying, but absolutely love this film. I can watch it right now. It's one of the most rewatched movies in my collection there. So yeah, Lost Boys, loved it since I was a kid, and I love it now. So that had to be in 3rd place. Next up, we have A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, The Dream Warriors. Yes, my favourite Freddy Krueger movie, of course. Now, I have a lot of respect for the first one. I love the second, love New Nightmare as well, but this one, is just one I adore. It's the most important horror movie in my entire life because this is the reason I love horror. My dad got me this from a car boot sale when I was a kid and said, yeah, you can finally watch Freddy, because I have to nag at my parents to let me watch it all these years. And they finally let me watch it. And I just sat there and watched it constantly after that. Like, it was just weeks on end. I would throw this tape in, I'd go to my friend's house and watch it with them. I felt like I owned something amazing there. And I've always loved this movie so much. What I love about it is we go into a new location here in the mental hospital for these kids who are all having the same dream about Freddy. And I think that is a wonderful concept to go with here, because we have Nancy, who's kind of doing that the same in the first one with her friends, but here it's all out in the open with these characters. And there's so many great ones in here. You got Kincaid, Joey, the one who wants to be the wizard master and stuff. And that's what I'll get onto here. They all team up to basically fight Freddy in their dreams, and they all get these superpowers. And that might sound stupid, but in their dreams, they can be anything. And it just, it's like a little weapon they can take into their dreams to feel safer, to fight Freddy. You've got Nancy coming in here as the final girl, trying to help these kids, because no one really believes them, but Nancy's there to, give them confidence, and they can all confide in her. I think that's a genius little move. Great practical effects in this one. The snake, where Freddy comes up as that big snake, looks better in this movie than it did 15 years later in Freddy vs. Jason. Says it all, because that is a CGI mess to me, but practical effects are where it's at. And you got the little Freddy stop motion puppet here. Another great kill scene there as well, where Freddy takes the veins off Joey after making him walk around like a puppet. You've got other great kills in there where this Jennifer, I think her name is, wants to be this actress, and Freddy shoved her through the TV ahead and says, "Welcome to prime time, bitch." I love how Freddy gets that drug addict Terran, who used to be on drugs, but she sort of overcome it, and he gets those needles on his fingers instead of his claw and shoves them in her veins and goes, "Let's get high." And Freddy here is amazing. Robert Englund, one of the best portrayals of him. It's between this and part 2, which one I like the best. I love Dark Freddy in 2, but here he tells so many dark jokes, but they're not really jokes that are over comedic. It's a perfect balance of dark humor and being comedic. And Robert Englund fucking slays in this movie. He is amazing. So yeah, my favorite Elm Street film. I absolutely love it. Man, I think I'm going to watch it again after this video, because it's been maybe a year or two now since I watched this film. So yeah, love it to death. That is A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, The Dream Warriors. Number 1, though, is going to be Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. Yes, another Stephen King adaptation in this list. Now, this is borderline masterpiece for me. I just think it's a wonderful film, and one that scared the absolute shit out of me back in the day. You've got Jack Torrance, played by Jack Nicholson, wonderfully in this film, and his family going to basically look after this hotel over the winter for 5 months. Jack Torrance sees this as an opportunity, gets writing done, because he hasn't got to do too much work. He's just basically got to look after the hotel and maintain it a little bit there. But this hotel has a history, the Overlook. One of the best horror movie locations ever now, isn't it? It's got a mind of its own, and it becomes a character within this movie. And we learn of the history and all these sorts of killings that went on, where this guy chopped up his family, and Jack Torrance starts to go a little bit mad over time as the movie goes on. And, another great dynamic to this film is basically Stephen King. What he does, he takes simple concepts like Christine, Kill a Car, Pet Sematary is basically a supernatural cemetery, really, isn't it? And this one is a haunted hotel. But what he does is he brings other dynamics into the movie, with Danny Torrance having a shining ability where he can talk to people through his mind, but he can also see things like ghosts and stuff and things that have happened in the past here. And that just brings a whole new part of the horror to this movie. Some of the best scenes are what he sees. Basically, he's seeing these twins who've been murdered in the hallways, the blood coming out of the elevator, and Stanley Kubrick just makes it all look amazing on screen. But this is a movie that is so chilling, so creepy, and basically just flows wonderfully. And I just think that, Jack Nicholson puts this performance in where you can see why his family are absolutely terrified of him. And let's not forget that iconic scene. Here's Johnny. One of the most iconic scenes in horror history. But absolutely brilliant film. Stanley Kubrick was a visionary, someone who basically is one of the greatest directors of all time. And this, alongside Clockwork Orange, is his best work. So for me, The Shining, it has to be number one. It's a fantastic movie and one of the best horror movies of all time. So that is The Shining. Okay guys, hope you all enjoyed this video. Please do let me know what some of your favourite horror movies from the 80s are. Do you want me to do a 70s? Do you want me to do a 90s? Please do let me know. I do have a video planned for the top 25 horror movies of the century so far, now that we're in 2025. So look out for that one as well. I'll leave my top 10s down below, along with some of the reviews I spoke about that I've done for these movies here. And I'm also gonna, it'll be in the top 10, but I've done a top 10 horror icons video, because I was speaking about a few horror icons in there, so that'll be in my top 10 horror movie playlists down below. So thanks so much guys, you all take care, and I'll see you all in the next video.